All right, so I'm a little late, but I wanted to share some of my 10 favorite albums from 2025. And I'm sure you've seen lots of end of the year lists and rankings, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I redesigned my favorite 2025 album covers. Here are some of the goals I set for myself going into this project. Number 1, for each of the albums, I will create 2 variations, one with the album's title and one without. This decision was inspired by the recent popular trend of artists not including the album name on the cover, mostly because everyone listens to music on streaming and the name is already there. Number 2, I want to pull inspiration from the album's sound, lyrical themes, the artist, and their existing catalog, but go in a different direction than the original artwork. Number 3, I want my final designs to feel as if they could actually be used as a realistic album cover, and maybe, in some cases, I can actually improve on the original design. One thing before we get started. While working on this project, I decided I wasn't going to redesign Alex G's Headlights or Viagra Boys' Viagra Boys, despite them being a couple of my favorite albums this year. I made this decision because, as I explained in my guidelines, I'm trying to make album covers that could actually be used, while paying respect to the artist's existing catalogs. The problem with both of these artists is that their existing album art is always designed by the same people. Alex's sister paints his covers, and lead singer Sebastian designs Viagra Boys' covers. So, whatever I would have designed instead just wouldn't have ever made sense for these artists. But all that being said, these are great albums. I definitely recommend checking them out. Okay, let's get into it. I will be presenting my 10 designs in the order I designed them in, starting with the album that originally sparked the idea for this video. Number 1, Getting Killed, Geese. Geese is a Brooklyn indie rock band made up of Emily Green, Dominic DeGesso, Max Basson, and recent indie breakout superstar Cameron Winter. On Getting Killed, the band teams up with producer Kenny Beats to push the quirky country rock of 3D country even further, delivering a set of wild, unhinged tracks. Their sound feels refreshing and electric. So, why does the cover seem to lack that same character? The ambiguity of the figure is compelling, but the image doesn't quite capture the album's chaotic fun. Here's my design. In reimagining the cover, I leaned into the cowboy aesthetic the band has embraced across their last 2 releases, drawing direct inspiration from the song 100 Horses. I sourced a photo of plastic toy horses and treated it with heavy grain, warmth, saturation, and texture to create a screen-printed effect. The red, orange, and yellow palette reflects the album's fiery energy, while a subtle lens flare nods to the original cover. Overall, I'm pleased with the result. It feels cohesive with their previous artwork, while better matching the music's intensity. Number 2, Eusexua, FKA Twigs. British art pop icon FKA Twigs drew inspiration from club culture and leaned further into electronic dance music on her album Eusexua. With her 3rd studio release, she continues to carve out a distinct lane for her futuristic, dark, and at times distorted take on pop. The record shifts from euphoric highs to eerie haunting moments, all driven by hypnotic electronic grooves. I'm a fan of the original cover. Its striking composition, Twigs' entranced expression, and her sharp earrings all mirror the music's intensity. For my version, I aimed to capture both the album's darkness and its dance energy. This portrait, with its dynamic, distorted pose, felt like the right fit. I removed the color, then rotated and darkened the image before adding motion blur. The track Room of Fools brought to mind Bjork. This room of fools, which also influenced the subtle, warm neutral tone I added to the final look. I finished it with an italicized Y2K style font to further emphasize movement and futurism. I'm happy with the result, but do you think I should have pushed it further from the original design? Let me know what you think. Number 3, Swag, Justin Bieber. I think Justin Bieber is often perceived more as a celebrity than a musical artist, which feels unfair for someone this talented. While his previous albums have been disappointing, his musical ability has never disappeared, and that was made clear on Swag and Swag 2. These projects were divisive. Many listeners called the 44-track sprawl bloated. But I admire Bieber's decision to fully lean into his R&B and soul bag, filtering it through the hazy lo-fi textures popularized by McGee and Dijon. His songwriting is carefree and self-aware, occasionally corny, but also relaxed and confident. In my opinion, this is the strongest music he's made in over a decade. Visually though, the cover feels like a watered-down imitation of Charli XCX's Brat. The irony reads cheap rather than intentional. In my redesign, I wanted to preserve the humor while pushing the concept further. I kept Bieber front and center, as he usually is, but drew inspiration from over-the-top 2000s mixtape covers. Swag plays like a mixtape, stacked track lists, odd skits, demo moments, even a couple of Little B features. So, I embraced tacky gold tones, layered textures, and flashy typography. The result leans into the spectacle, self-aware of Bieber's larger-than-life reputation. What do you guys think? Does the irony succeed, or did I miss the mark on this one? Number 4, Keep Moving, Dead Calm. Alright, let's talk about a smaller artist now. Keep Moving, the second album from Dead Calm, is a brief but potent 28-minute burst of angst-ridden emo folk, driven by raw guitar and aching violin. The project is led by 20-year-old Irish musician Liam McKay, heavily inspired by slowcore bands like Duster. In fact, a Duster song inspired the name of his better-known alias, Sign Crush's Motorist. But that barely scratches the surface of McKay's staggering list of pseudonyms, which include Hybrid, Birthday, Busty Latinas, Carson Clay, Death Trap, Hold, Make His Ribs Show, Monta, Miserable Teens Club, Moonwater, Roaming, Scum 48, and Take Care. After checking out the album covers of all of his projects, I noticed a reoccurring motif: dogs. I used that as my starting point, which led me to these black and white stills from an old film. For the typography, I nodded to the Dennis Rodman references scattered throughout the album, choosing a bold, blocky sports jersey font. The red and white pops sharply against the monochrome images, giving the cover a punk-adjacent edge that mirrors the jaded, relentless tone of Dead Calm's lyrics. Number 5, Lotus, Little Simz. British rapper Little Simz has become one of the most consistently compelling voices in hip-hop. Though she's released projects since 2010, Lotus feels like a reset. It's her first album since 2019 without longtime collaborator Inflow, following their fallout and Simz's lawsuit over an unpaid loan. Themes of distrust, greed, and loss run throughout the album. But the most powerful moments center on love, forgiveness, and self-acceptance. The lotus flower on the cover symbolizes resilience and transformation. Yet I find the image oddly muted, detached from the album's bold spirit. My redesign draws on Simz's Nigerian heritage, which she references on the song Lion and across the entire project.
Bet you never seen a young black woman so fly. Simmons arrived, got the heart of a lion, my Nigerian pride.
While researching Nigerian records, I discovered I Want You Girl by Masisi Mass Funk, and its influence on my design is clear. Reinterpretation as direct homage has long been part of album art history, from London Calling echoing Elvis Presley to Gorillaz channeling the Beatles, as well as a couple of my favorites, Ween and Leonard Cohen, and Boris and Nick Drake. All that aside, I liked the bold, almost superhero-like typography. Simz's unflinching expression and hair breaking the frame emphasize her individuality and defiance. For the alternate version, I kept the flower motif, adding playful doodles that contrast her intensity. Which cover feels stronger to you? Number 6, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, Hayley Williams. Hayley Williams, best known as the frontwoman of Paramore, has shifted her focus to solo work, embracing a more pop-centric sound. She initially released 17 singles exclusively to fans who received an online code with purchases from her hair dye brand. But the tracks disappeared after 24 hours, and an official release seemed unlikely. But a month later, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party arrived, a sprawling 20-song album running over an hour. The album blends pop, rock, punk, and even country with pristine production and sharp songwriting. It boasts some of the year's catchiest choruses, yet the lyrics carry real weight, touching on mental health, relationships, and social critique. The title track is a perfect example of this.
I'll be the biggest star at this racist country singer's bar. I know you're shooting for the moon.
For my cover, I focused on the album's intriguing title, searching for an image that felt both celebratory and existential. I was also inspired by the vintage softness of Chemtrails Over the Country Club by Lana Del Rey. I found an old photograph of a woman at a fashion show, her expression quietly melancholic. I added a blurred reflection and a subtle film grain to heighten the mood. The final design feels dramatic, slightly surreal, and has the same underlying sadness that lingers beneath the album's glittering surface. Number 7, The Art of Loving, Olivia Dean. Having just won Best New Artist, Olivia Dean has a bright career ahead of her. Her second album, The Art of Loving, is a timeless blend of neo-soul, pop, jazz, and soft rock, with a warm, relaxing, and nostalgic feel. At times, Dean's vocals recall legends like Amy Winehouse and Carole King. The album is concise, focused, and perfectly aligned with her strengths. I like how the cover captures her personality with a cutesy pose and happy smirk. But the grayscale choice feels at odds with the music's vibrancy. For my redesign, I made color a central element. I also drew on the album's jazz influences, taking direct inspiration from 1970s geometric jazz covers, particularly Tempo by Bernard Gerard. The bold grid and circle pattern complements the classic mature sound while leaning into the album's title. For the non-title version, I simply just extended the pattern. Do you think retro geometric designs work for contemporary music, or does the original portrait cover better capture the album? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Number 8, Guitar, Mac DeMarco. I'm embarrassed to admit that it wasn't until this year that I truly understood and fell in love with Mac DeMarco's music, sparked by his new album, Guitar. The title is delightfully literal, highlighting the album's core element. The record is beautifully minimal, stripped down to soft rock essentials: voice, subtle percussion, and melancholic guitar. The original cover reflects the minimalism perfectly, and I adopted the same philosophy for my redesign. Mac's music often evokes the calm of nature, likely inspired by his folksy roots and past outdoor-themed covers. Since he's Canadian, I explored vintage Canadian postcards and stumbled on one from the Yukon Territory. The serene landscape and quirky thin font immediately clicked. I kept the image intact, swapping in the album's title. It's simple, straightforward, and exactly what the album needs. For the non-title version, I added another postcard image featuring some moose, keeping with the natural but goofy vibe. The result feels perfectly in tune with Guitar, uncomplicated and quietly charming. Number 9, Glory, Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers. An album that hasn't gotten enough love this year is Glory by Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers. So I'm here to give them their flowers. The band, an Australian indie rock girl group with strong pop-punk influences, delivered an energetic, well-produced, and consistent record. Glory has all the right ingredients: tight performances, sharp songwriting, and catchy radio-friendly hooks. What sets it apart is how it balances a commercial, accessible sound with an edgier, grittier vibe. But that balance also creates some ambiguity around the band's identity. And that issue is highlighted by the cover. The original art looks cheaply generated and processed. failing to reflect the band's authenticity and making it harder to take them seriously. For my redesign, I aimed for simplicity. I started with a photo of the band, cropping and rotating it to only show their legs, a subtle nod to the feminist themes in the album. I rendered the image in black and white, added small divots in the corners, and paired a black letter font, evoking classic punk like Dead Kennedys, with a script version of the band's name for a touch of elegance. The result is bold, understated, and more in line with the group's identity. Number 10, I Love My Computer, Nina Geraci. One of the most fun albums of the year, and one of the most accurate celebrations of internet culture and the digital age. Blending electronic, dance, and hyperpop, Nina explores nostalgia, escapism, intimacy, and connection. Anyone who grew up in the early 2000s will relate to the emotions and scenarios she captures. Honestly, one of my favorite things about the album is its cover. It might be the best of the year, tied only with Soft Spot by Honin Bara. I even considered leaving it off this list because I didn't want to embarrass myself with a redesign, but I couldn't resist a challenge. For my version, I leaned into the Y2K and electronic aesthetics. I drew inspiration from a 1997 Square Pusher EP, Vic Acid, particularly the deep-fried distortion and pixel font. From there, I explored Y2K-styled layouts on Pinterest and discovered many designs with sections highlighted and pop-up windows. After borrowing that idea, it led me to add folders and other icons to mimic a desktop computer. Finally, I styled the album title as an error message pop-up, which I think ties the whole design together perfectly. So that's all of my 2025 album cover redesigns. How do you guys think I did? Which are your favorites and which are your least favorites? And do you think any of them are actually better than the original designs? Let me know in the comments below. And also, let me know some of your favorite 2025 albums. What was missing from my list? Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, consider checking out my previous video where I designed some Criterion Collection DVD covers and talked about some of the greatest animated movies to ever exist. All right, that's all I got. Have a good one.